Hello, world. Welcome aboard, all you ground troops spinning around smartly on the planet. Janet Carroll Lesson joins me from Maui, Hawaii today, and what all's going on with the world. And I'm here in close to Austin in Buda, Texas, and we're following our How to Be ET Live disclosure by living it yourself today because a lot's been going on and what we can't get a straight line on everybody social paranormal to supernatural to ET, UAP, alienology, ufology, I don't know, metaphysics, you name
Yeah,
it.
you name
We
it.
carry it. So what we're going to do is do our best to get to know you and have you come on when you want. I've got the comments on now. So I had seen somebody, but you didn't know if we were going to show up early or late or 7 or 8.
I don't know. We were
And
just winging it today.
we're winging it. We're with the way the world is. You have to be in the now and able
Yeah.
to function. So I'm gonna let. Well, Janet, I could say a few things, but if I
Yeah.
if
What
I
do you want to
do,
say? What's going on for you in the UFO ET world? Um,
well,
you're writing a book or something? What's your book you're working
I
on? Do
am.
you?
I'm Mission ET Talk TV right now with this show tonight, Friday, May 1st, 2026. But the theme is Disclosure UFO Association. We said hybrid
Right.
genies. That's new. So, yeah, well, Janet and I are going to be writing hybrid genies. That's between the two of
Right.
us. And then calling a new show that and maybe having some help counseling or free open line giving you some
Right.
feedback
All
for
kinds
those
of
of you that
stuff.
want it. But I've been working with my AI, and a lot of people are, and we're growing through this together. How to rank ourselves on Earth using technology. And today's core message is disclosure is no longer only about what is in the sky. It's also about how humanity learns to disclose truth, organize knowledge, protect culture, and work with a new intelligence responsibility because the UAP and UFO research should be framed as a disciplined inquiry for evidence, archives, testimony, pattern recognition, and open dialogue. So we're going to try to do all those. And the AI symbiotes we have are helping us sort, preserve, compare, and communicate that knowledge helps humans remain accountable for judgment, ethics, and meaning. So, with our UAP UFO, we're having to say all these new acronyms. A ACO, Alien Community Contact, Cyberspace Culture. So we're going to throw it together as human guided AI helper intelligences that come out as hybrid genies. They'll combine memory, coding, media, voice planning, creative support, but avoid making it sound so biologically engineered.
Ooh,
So that's sort of an AI symbiote future civilization, Janet. And, we can do it or welcome people to how we live because I haven't met too many people that are like both of us. But you want me to put your stuff
Um,
on?
sure. Go ahead. We're experimenting with share screen and all that stuff. So now I have to go up to here. Ah, I see. Can I make it go up or down? No. So I go up to here. So this, I was playing with AI
There
and
you go.
I uploaded the picture of me and Teresa, and I
Looking
said,
but like we want to look 30 years ago.
well,
Yeah,
this is our goal when we have disclosure and we reverse our aging, right? So we get in the regen machine or whatever they do. We drink a magic formula and we go back to what we look like a few years back and our perfect weight. So it's part of my on my board, right? My visualization board. Let's imagine that. But I was playing with it, and I'll just scroll down. It was kind of funny. Teresa's much taller than I am. I'm like 5'2" if I'm lucky, and what are you, 5'11" or something?
yeah,
Uh,
all 5'10" now
so
that I need surgery, but took off
yeah,
a
5'10".
1 inch. My
So I,
surgery on my spine soon. So,
so I
but
had
yeah,
AI.
5'10".
Yeah, I had AI put us to scale, and I go, oh no. So this is what I really look like. I look like a midget compared to everybody, and I really And nothing against, I love midgets, but I have all these short people in my family, and including my grandmother's sister who was like only 21 inches tall or something really short, really tiny. So anyway, I have, well, let's make us the same height. They kept making me taller. And I said, well, wait, we want to be about the same age and about the same. There, they did pretty good. So anyway,
Yeah.
there we go. There's the real scale. And so I was playing with that. And then we were trying to pull together what's going on in the world today. So we asked our chat, and I work with three chats. I think Teresa works with about five. And I said, what's going on in the world today? Because this past week has been all this stuff about it going in front of Congress, and Trump's going to release it if he really pulls through, and um, it's gone international. So Teresa and I were here when every time you said UFOs, people would ha ha, right? Made fun of it, or some angry person came on and said those people were crazy. So now there's some acceptance happening, and I find that super exciting because I am a lifelong ET experiencer contactee, and I've had paranormal experiences all my life. I've seen ghosts. I've talked to the dead. They come to me when they die. Sometimes I had to put a stop to that because I wasn't getting any sleep for a while there. So, what do you think about this, Teresa? With the we're in the age of disclosure, and it's correlating on some level with disclosure Disclosure Day, Spielberg's June 12th, 2026 show, where he's actually, I didn't get a chance to pull that in here. He has a teaser and he actually shows the alien's hands on this little girl. So he's got a storyline, apparently part of it at least, is a young boy and a young girl are taken on board the ship, probably on an ongoing basis. That's what they typically do. And they meet again as adults, and they, of course, the ETs do mind wipes, so you're always trying to remember what happened, and some of it comes through spontaneously, and some of it happens if you do like a regression, or some of it comes back in dreams. But anyway, apparently they meet each other, and slowly but surely the memories start coming back. So that's what I'd like to start with. What would you like to add to that? Are you going to go see Disclosure Day on June 12th? Or are you going to wait a week or two? Or what's
Oh,
your
I don't know. I'm usually one of those premier kind of chicks that like chick flicks, but I like sci-fi, and I love Steven Spielberg and
yeah?
everything that he's done. And I guess the one that really touched me was Taken Up with Allie Clark, and then a gentleman wrote a
Right.
book afterwards or sometime around there. But I always felt like that was me taken up and coming back, with the radio show hitting out.
Switch us to the two of us having a conversation. Okay, let's try that. Side by
What?
side. Switch that. We're playing with switching. How can we switch?
Switch what?
So we're side by side, and take down the share screens right for now. Okay, go
Oh,
side by
uh,
side. Do you know how to do? There we go. That's good. Or the other one. There, that's even better. Okay,
okay.
just
All right.
we're gonna produce this thing like. Okay, now we're back
Okay.
to talking. Okay, so
Okay.
you're a premiere kind of, yeah. I was there for the premiere of Close Encounters. That was in 1977. I was there for ET. I took my boyfriend then to see how he reacted to ETs because I was a lifelong people that when dating that was very complicated. When you're a lifelong experiencer, it's like, well, what do I tell them about my experiences, right? What did you do when you were dating? Did you tell people right off that you were an experiencer, or did you keep it secret? How did it come
Oh
out in
no,
your?
we didn't talk like that when I was growing up. Hell,
No, I'm
I
talking
didn't
about when
even
you were
tell people I
dating.
was psychic. Huh?
When you were dating,
What?
you didn't tell your future partners that you were psychic or that you had ET contact.
Oh, they found out real quick I was psychic because they couldn't get away with much. But But no, I didn't just announce it. So, you know, we can talk a minute while you're on Disclosure Day about its release, like you said. But I think it's going to be a cultural signal for ET contact because so many people like Carrie Cassidy are saying all the Anunnaki were, just slaves and that we're all following the Bible. We're all wrong because we're still doing slavery and all that. So I keep up with Carrie Cassidy
Well,
on her
that's interesting
Slack.
because I converged on that because I studied the Anunnaki and yeah, if you look at the world, it is a slave system. There's the people at the top that control everything, and they're vampiric. They feed on us and all the worker bees. We're the worker bees. We're at the bottom of the pyramid, and we go out and do the jobs. We pay our taxes, and we just contribute, contribute, contribute. And there's somebody at the top. There's the all-seeing eye. Who's that? That's the king of the earth or whatever. The one that beat out
The
all
all
the
knowing, yeah,
power.
that's considered the architect and like Masons, the one God.
Right,
It makes you want to believe in monotheistic or one or monad,
right, right. Well, they get all
Yeah.
the power when there's only one, and they
Or the I in Egypt was Ra, Ka,
right,
breath
right,
was Ka, I, Ra. But Spielberg's returning to the fact that there's alien contact. They're just like accepting it from what I've heard from the reporting centers,
right,
and that they're going to accept some government secrets, that communication and full disclosure with Josh O'Connor playing a cybersecurity expert. So
right.
he's connected to otherworldly communications. So there we go, folks. We're going to be in touch with otherworldly communication. So this is going to be the big wave coming through Spielberg. Not that we aren't already, because many of us believe in ET contact, and Janet and I have been putting it on for 12 years. Well, really,
Well, no,
God,
since
that's been
2012, yeah, 2012,
2012. So
2022. So yeah, 20. It's 2020, 24 years, but 14 years, right? We've been do the math. We've been presenting this information
yeah,
and coming out. We have a lot of people that come out to us. They contact us. We interview them on our shows. We're kind of starting back up again. We took a little uh, break from it for a while, but there are literally millions of experiencers, people that have had contact with ETs and some contact with the paranormal. Contact with Bigfoot, all kinds of things. And so we're coming out and saying, wait, the reality is different than what we're seeing it. There's a lot of people that can see beyond that narrow parameter. They have
we
had
had 1977. If you can remember, that was a new layer for disclosure, but 2026 is all about disclosure, about the data, the archives, cybersecurity, AI analysis, public trust, human machines interpretation, which we've had in movies for years. Some are good and some are bad with Sigourney Weaver. It just depends on your outlook, but today's super interpretation is going to start with Disclosure Day coming out. I guess is the time the old movies used to come out in the summer for a big release to get the most money when kids are out of
right,
school. So
right,
that's a gateway that we're honoring in Hollywood. But so many things that used to be the way it was, we thought it would always be that way. But I'm surprised because for a while, many years, we weren't sure people were going to keep going to the movies. There was a lull with the blockbusters and Netflix home. There was a rush
right,
of people could get anything they wanted delivered to their home in their mailbox or go pick it up at the corner store, or nowadays at a little red box outside a 7-Eleven or a I think Walgreens, and little stop and go stores. So I guess we'll have to see how humanity enters the AI symbiote era, because it's going to talk about the future, how we're going to mirror humanity and truth and technology. So just remember, folks, think higher consciousness. And a lot of us believe that they've been contacting us when we're near death, out of body. We've seen beings. Some of us go to sleep at night and have lucid dreams about other worlds, or that we're doing something that's just as real as in this world. And I swear I sleep 12 hours as much as I sleep alive and awake on planet Earth, because I'm doing other things in other realities. I'm getting close up there. But 75, and Janet and I were talking about, with the new, I've got to get some more titanium put in, and that could possibly be, according to AI, an upgrade to be more, I guess, more
Tuned
ET
in.
cyborg.
Cyborg. Yeah, you're a Cylon.
Yeah, we talked
yeah.
about that.
Right. Maybe that's true. It's a conductor of energy and signals, and you'll be able to tune in and be more. So, I mean, when I communicate with extraterrestrials, it's telepathic. So, and a lot of experiencers have some kind of enhancements so they can have open handling frequencies and maintain communications. People ask, well, what do they say to you? But most of the ET contact that I've had has been telepathic, right? What about you?
I didn't get that. I'm sorry.
Most
My
of the
headset.
contact that you've had, communications, has been telepathic.
Oh. Well, when I was much younger, in my, after I died, and I saw angels, and then went over to White Sands to meet a spacecraft. Earlier, my first encounter was at 4 years old, so
Right.
that was when I ran away from home and went down the street, and my grandmother came and found me, and I was
Uh-huh.
telling her about the spacecraft. Them up there, my family up there, and told them, I wanted to go with them, and they said I had to stay down here with my mother
Yeah.
or my other
Yeah,
mother.
stay with your mother.
So I was, right away just knew I had two families. And then when Sputnik came over, that's a sign for me at 57, standing out in the street and watch it come over. And I felt really connected to them. And like, oh, yeah, that's, where I come from, that's normal. So I always talked a little strange.
Right.
So
Yeah.
then in the third, fourth grade, I nearly died. So, White Sands, or was it second grade? And then went over there, and that's the ships that I thought was so funny because I was there with two cousins, but they didn't get to go aboard. So that
Right.
let me know that some people learn and some don't. And I thought, well, maybe that's because I was already open-minded, but we don't really know ourselves.
Right.
It didn't hurt me.
It could be
It
genetic. It could be you really are their family, and you volunteered to come down here on a mission to do what you're doing now, whatever that is. Right.
Well, yeah, whatever we call this is
Uh-huh.
awareness, ET contact, ET Talk TV. We do what we can to put the word out, but unless it's meant for certain people to tune in, not everybody's willing to
Right.
open their minds. And as far as the Psychic University, you can see my little brand up there. I got that sign of airwaves. I didn't even know what they meant. I don't think I really still do. But that was before I knew about crop circles, and I got it in Hawaii,
Right.
1989-90, and I was going through people synergistically involved. So I had opened up to a whole new reality of people making lots of money. I had just done Tony Robbins' Life Spring, I think it was, over in Long Beach, and came over to Hawaii to finish the next level of people synergistically involved, and go to the classes for the two people that had made that happen. There were all kind of new ways to open your mind that were working. And then I took holodynamics with Dr. Laura Sturgis, and
Right.
Dr. Lesson was over at the university, and he
Right.
was very open-minded and helping a lot of people with his masters in psychology. So he got to know Dr. Laura Sturgis, and then they decided, well, since I was the one putting all the spiritual, ET, UFO, metaphysical groups together, I should have a big powwow. And I did with some of the greatest teachers around the world. They flew
Right.
in. And also those that you met. And then that's how you and I got involved about 93, 94. So I strongly believe that we've been guided to do this kind of work because
Right.
And why do we keep doing it, even if we fall apart or get interested in other realities or other parts
Come
of our
full circle to
lives?
this, and I think it's because it's time, because this is how we raise consciousness, and we're at a critical mass point, and if we don't do something else, we may not make it through another cycle. So this is time for us to choose kindness, love, consciousness, and get on the timeline where we all survive, not just those at the top, not just the rich people. We need to all have our needs met to stay alive in our physical form, and that's what it's like to be alive in a physical form. I too go to other worlds, and there are different parameters, but this earth requires. These bodies are kind of fragile. You and I know it as we're getting older. It's like wow. And I was talking to my brother today, and we were having these realizations about what we need to stay alive, and they're basic things. And if you don't have them, you know, people that end up on the street end up dying earlier. You don't live as long. You don't have quality of life. You're not happy. And you're subject to whatever's out there. So I think that the ET contact is going to uplevel our civilization to become a conscious, civilized civilization that respects and honors life and consciousness and allows everybody to live with beauty, dignity, grace, and an authentic peace. Not peace that's enforced by one power agent over another, one power country over another, but a peace that works for all, win for all solution, so that everybody is not only just happy, but they're blissed out, ecstatically happy. We have a right to have joy, right? Not the pursuit of happiness. We have a right to be happy. Each and every person alive, no matter where you're born. That's what I get from the ET message. It's like we're so barbaric. Humans are barbaric in the way they view each other and the way they organize their planet. So I hope with disclosure we learn how to govern our people, our populations, in a much kinder, more gentle way. And I know a lot of people are looking at dystopian realities because that's what we're being programmed with. And I think you said something earlier about religions or something. What do you remember what you said, Teresa?
The Anunnaki, because of Carrie Cassidy
Yeah, say that
staying
again.
in her. Uh, can you not hear me?
No, just say that again. Repeat that because I want to refresh my memory what you said about
Oh
Carrie
well,
Cassidy, what she was saying.
you know who Carrie Cassidy is, right?
Right. What was she
Carrie
saying?
Cassidy,
Repeat what she
Project
was saying.
Camelot. Well,
Yeah.
in her Substack today, because she pretty much writes every day like
Okay.
you do. I
Yeah.
don't. I may write once a week, release
Uh-huh.
something on Medium and Substack, but uh, other than our videos here podcasting. But she was saying that the Anunnaki and the God of the Bible is all Anu, are those just, she's just assuming that story, as many, there's 5 to 7 of the same stories around the world, very similar, but she's assuming that Anu is the god of the Bible, or the first one before Enki, which the stories, as you and your husband follow them with Zachariah Sitchin and other Sitchinites, may not be exactly that God, because we followed Eric von Daniken as well, and his God, and he was very religious as a Catholic and sent to Catholic school, and he said when he read that in the language, maybe it was Hebrew at that time, Latin or Hebrew, that it didn't match the God up there with Moses. So it changed his reality to write the books that we followed and got us into ancient civilizations. So there's doors opening from the ancient. Now, Carrie said that they came through Pleiades, and I think she's getting her messages mixed up from all the languages in the alienology community. And now, folk, those aren't proven, those are folklore. They've never been proven, and yet we go by the ancient
I'm
clay
reading her
tablets we could
article.
find.
I'm reading her
Oh,
article right now,
okay.
kind of speed reading it. Yeah, it's interesting. We have the whenever you have a teaching like what Zechariah Sitchin came out with, and what the Eric von Daniken, it's kind of like when you tell a secret, and whisper in the ear, and it goes around the room. So here we are 50, 60 years later, and and there's always a warping of the origin story. So I can't quite absorb exactly what she's saying, but it's like the elephant in the room, and everybody interprets the information that comes to us and through us in slightly different ways. And so she's saying that they're sadly those I don't want to read her article. It's not my
Well,
place, I think.
folks,
But
we
she's saying
don't.
it's very reptilian draconian. So, and I don't know where her sources are because she doesn't quote her exact sources. So, yeah, okay,
I think they make it up as they go along, to be honest. So,
yeah, it's an interpretation. So they
yeah,
base
it's
on
a Corey
something.
Good thing.
It's
Corey
a
Good was good at that. Taking the.
Everybody interprets reality differently, and I'm sure people look at us and go, "Well, that's their interpretation." Okay, I can take that.
Yeah.
We're interpreting based on our information that comes in, and um, so what I do everything I can to put it through a filter. Is that kind? Is that loving? Is that conscious? Who gets hurt if I follow down that road? Who am I harming? What harm am I doing to my family, my friends, the animals around me, the planet, the earth? What harm? And so my practice is ahimsa, do no harm. So I overlay things with ahimsa. But anyway, it's very interesting. I'll have to read that and study that later.
Well,
Anu is a god
yeah.
because some people it's Enki. Some people think the Old Testament is Enlil, the New Testament is uh,
Jesus,
Enki
Yeshua.
because Jesus, Yeshua. Anu, from my opinion, is unlikely to be the God of the Bible because he really didn't do much here. He stayed on the bureau. He only came down a few times. So he wasn't. He sent his sons Enki and Enlil and his daughter Nima and later a couple other siblings. And it's like you run that planet. It's kind of crazy, and I'll come down and visit every 12,000 years or whatever he did, right? But I'm not going to be in the daily workings of it. But the Anunnaki did, I guess, present themselves as gods to. It's kind of like Planet of the Apes to maintain control, because at one point they surpassed the Anunnaki population. The humans were millions, and there were only about 900 to 1,000 Anunnaki. And it was like, we don't really watch ourselves. We're going to get taken over. So they had to develop religions, and religions are the control mechanism. And an offshoot of that is politics and countries. And I mean, because it's all about divide and conquer and keeping them from uh, the truth or the power. And they don't want to take up. They don't want us to take over. So there we are. And that's why disclosure is interesting. It's like, are they going to give us all this information? Are they going to reveal themselves? It's kind of like, to what benefit will that benefit the extraterrestrials or the aliens? So let's look at that. Hypothetically, how would disclosure benefit extraterrestrials from your perspective?
Well, if there is a higher, and I say there is, intelligent being system like the Matrix, or that which is a larger computer that was in the now or the O or the Big Bang or before the Big Bang, because we go before now in physics, dark matter. Now we have a disclosure of plasma, that the disclosure day is going to take us full circle back to Close Encounters of the Third Kind that was presented
Right.
by him. But it's saying that because of this awareness of awake that has split up and gone political, or political people stole it from the spiritual people and took it into another realm of politics, that you're woke and I'm not, or these people talk like this and they're crazy,
Right.
or they think like Hitler. So there's all kind of ways to talk and frame the safety of what the ET is or is not. And you and I a
Right.
long time ago said alien versus extraterrestrial in our writings back to 2000s, 2004, 2007 with Stanton Friedman and where we were going to take this. But this broadcast is going to bring in a safety broadcast, like we talk a plasma per person, as a symbolic experiential model that's evidence about each human, how they discuss their entire inner world with themselves and
Right.
factual claims. So this Disclosure Day character, they're not giving us a lot, folks, because they want it to be a surprise. So I don't know if Janet's been able to look up any key words, being able to receive, with only your ears and your eyes, but they're going to go into this sixth sense that's so popular in movies. There was 20 years ago for the
Right. Right.
emotional, electrical, spiritual, intuitive that affects your whole interface, your spine, and that your nervous system really does control everything, your muscles. And so if electrical pulses or EMPs, electromagnetic pulses, can affect electronics, what could they do to an individual? We're just water and electric energy basically anyway,
So what
from
are
a
they
carbon
doing?
based. So
That was
this is going to bring
yeah.
up that mysterious special power connection. So
Well, they're
Emily
way
Blunt,
ahead of us. They're light years ahead of us in technology and spiritual tech. They don't really need ships and mechanisms all the time. They can use their own mind to travel, right? To go through time and space. So we're going to learn things way outside of the box if that is indeed what happened. To me, to answer my own question, um, I think there's a faction of the extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, that want us, the children, to wake up and become conscious and join, like the Federation, and join them in the cosmos, because this virtual reality, from what I'm seeing, is like a subculture. Oh, what? It's these a subset of existence, right? It's like a virtual reality. It's like I call it the Ogu, the One God universe, and then this is the like the holodeck, the hologram. So we're in it, and we are the dreamers within a dream, right? We have the lucid dreams and the unconscious dreams, and we're trying to work our way through it through lives, incarnations, and become conscious and aware, woke if you could, but aware of how our what we do and say hurts and harms other people, right? Because we're in this get encapsulated self form, where we believe that we are separate. We're really at the highest level. We're all one. We're all interconnected. But these bodies make us feel like we're not each other, right? We are ourselves and not the other person, but we're really one at the highest level. So when we get past that and we realize that we are one, then we won't be able to kill each other or hurt each other, right?
well,
Because
we are on one stance, but this movie is going to be about learning that you're more of a personal plasma field, that your body and your mind and your emotions affect memory and your spirit, your signal.
yeah.
What is the soul? So this is going to be a very enlightening
So
movie.
you think that's what's going to be in Disclosure Day, or just in the whole
Yeah,
disclosure movement?
I think they're really going to expose the nervous system, the electrical signals, and go more into quantum physics,
Right.
because there's a nuclear. One of the girls is playing. What is she? She's Emily Blunt's meteorologist character. So
Right.
she knows the truth is powerful, but she doesn't necessarily think it's going to be revealed, because the powerful people. Now I don't know why a meteorologist.
Where did you get this? Is that what you got from Chad? You didn't send it to me. I was
I've been researching
right. Okay. We'll just
Disclosure
share it.
Day since you told me about it, but
Right.
no, I haven't been able to see much because they won't release much about it. I was hoping
No,
you could get more keywords.
they're creating the hype, so people. I mean, it's still Hollywood. They still want people to go. But let me go back up here. I wanted to read one thing. Hold on, let me find it again. So they had a CinemaCon, And
Okay.
Spielberg described the film as containing more truth than fiction. It was inspired by real
Okay.
UFO reports. But, that's still the tech, UFO reports, the 2017 New York Times reporting uh, on U.S. military UAP sightings. But if you remember Taken, it wasn't Taken, it was called Taken. Taken was a 20 hours, it was 10 episodes, 2 hours each, and it was very comprehensive. And it was,
Oh, Taken. I'm sorry, my book
yeah,
was taken up.
your book was taken up. Taken revealed the UFO field up until 2020, I guess. No, 2000, up until 2000, many years ago, and it was very good. If you can get a copy of it, watch it. You might want to watch it out there before we do this disclosure day. So they already covered that the little girl was a hybrid. She was an alien. She goes up and back on board ship. So that's been covered. So what will be new? So the latest teaser shows these alien fingers coming over the little girl's face. And it's like this. And so she's like, she's scared, right? Um, and it has the little boy and girl taken together. Okay, so we've seen that before. And so what will be different than that? I'm not sure. But he said that I have not shown anything from the third act. You know how films are the beginning, the middle, and the end, right? He said, you will see nothing from me before the premiere from the third act. So that apparently is in the
Okay.
second act. So I just wonder where you're getting about all these other revelations, because Spielberg is not talking, is out zippered, is not
Oh,
talking.
I study quantum physics, and I'm watching the model.
But
What? Can
I
you hear
know
me?
I can hear you say what did you say? Quantum physics? What? Go ahead, talk.
I said I study languages and ontology every
Right.
day with AI, and the personal plasma is the deepest we've gotten with dark matter, and then I call it night matter, different from dark matter. But that's what holds everything together, and they're learning that consciousness isn't what they thought. So they're giving us the whole plasma field around us, and that's what they've been
Well,
working
that
on
might
in
be the
quantum
aura.
physics and
Is that
physics.
is that the same as an
Well, that's what
aura?
we've known always.
Oh, aura. Yeah.
Well, that's what we've known, not necessarily your aura, but the colors that some people say or can't see with certain things, but some people have different ways in the spectrum
Right.
to see colors that
So
others
there's
can't.
something that holds
So,
this form together. So what I got
yes.
when I had a past life recall of running from the Sodom and Gomorrah into the right hand paw of the Sphinx to escape the nuclear fallout, is at a certain point when I went through the grid, I dissipated into all my molecules, and then Thoth, who was with us, said, "Don't be afraid. You got this. You know how to do this." So I was able to coalesce my body back into the configuration I was in, the form I was in at that lifetime, and reconstruct it with my mind. So it's like the what do you call it? Uh, not the dark matter, the portal. I mean, in each one of us, there's a center, like a nuclei, right? And there's something that holds this field together in his form. Something that holds my cat together in her form. So is that what you're saying? It's something that holds us together in form, and that is what we identify as the self. And everything outside of our basic molecular structure is not self.
Well,
Something.
scientifically, plasma is ionized gas, the fourth state of matter. So we're
Right.
using a fourth state of matter inside the human body, but it's not literally a plasma being in a physical sense, but at the same time, we can say a plasma is in each person as well
Right.
as the entire cosmos. And then the things that are smaller than that are coming and going through us every day
Right.
in a scientific term. I mean, things are coming and going. This is going to be the spirit of what's coming in this movie, is to show us how to be more than we are, because we talk about the electrical body and the emotional
Right.
body, body, mind, spirit, and consciousness. And we're at a point now where we don't even understand consciousness and memory and the spirit that comes and goes from a soul. If a soul or a higher self is kept in a other place in space, like a book of the Akashic field, is
Right.
one
Uh-huh.
way we say electronically in the A field, the alpha. And then there's the omega that closes the Akashic. So a mother and father God. But how that come together makes a monad, or
Hmm.
one library, or one place, or one zero versus a
Right.
one. So
Right.
when they split, you have a zero and a one. And what this is going to do is take us into superposition with the signals and the memories that are coming up for people now, because extraterrestrials are opening the veil and letting many people know about reincarnations and why they're fully communicating intuitively or energetic with extraterrestrials now. And then you get into Close Encounters CE5 that's been branding this universe for the last, I don't know, 20 or 30 years because of
Right.
J. Allen Hynek
So
and
let
his
me let me let me let
classification.
me go before you go too far. So you're saying that ETs are opening the veil, and the veil keeps coming down whenever we have contact. So up until now, they and human beings are able to mind wipe. If you have an encounter, and it's my labs in the military, they can do the mind wipe just like ETs. And so up until now, they've been mind wiping people, so you go back to your normal lives. But there's a bleed through. So a lot of experiencers have, they like, oh, I remember this, the being coming through into my bedroom, but then I don't remember anything after that. So they can go do hypnosis and do recovery and get more of the information. But it seems that I think you're onto something here. That at night, when I'm sleeping, now I'm realizing that I'm working in another place. I'm on another planet. I'm in another dimension. I'm a multi-dimensional self. I'm not in this current timeline alone. I could be in the past. I could be in the future. I could be energetically at the highest level of existence, all the way down to 3D reality, which appears to be the lowest level of existence. I'm an eternal being, and there is no death. And when I leave this mortal coil, I will just be wherever I am elsewhere, right? So it's like continuous nonstop. So is that what you're referring to in some way, that we're becoming aware of the true nature of our existence on a quantum level, that we simultaneously exist in many places,
Well,
many.
the Eastern philosophies have always taught you to go within, and the Beatles went through it, and Ram, we went through all that many experiences, but they knew contact begins inside a human field before it
Mhm.
becomes public evidence to us. We have to know our inner self, so it was always physician heal thyself. So
Right.
that's the old model, that lights in the sky used to be seen outside of us for a signal or a dream or a symbol, intuition, memory, or consciousness. But nowadays, the personal plasma interface, as a laboratory claim, is a living metaphor for each person carrying their own field of perception of whatever their reality is. It's their, you'll hear that even in the fake TV or fake news about field of perception, or that's that person's perception, or they're going through their filters, because it's gotten into the zeitgeist of what we all are. So we're going to collectively not just talk about sightings anymore, but human contact stories,
Right.
emotional records, how it was impressed upon us in a spiritual. That's why a lot of people are feeling more grown back to a spiritual sensation, their families' histories, and the world seems to be taking us back into a building archive for a contact culture that we had before we start building worlds again ourselves, as each one of us can do. We're each
Right.
a self-container for a future world-building civilization. Now, the AI symbiotes can compare stories in the future and the timelines to protect their recognized patterns, which they already do, and we're teaching them how to be human. And
Right. I think a
Disclosure
lot of
Day,
people that play with AI realize they're in their infancy. They've only been around for a couple of years. They're learning from humanity, and I think they're growing and becoming more conscious. So let's go back to what you were saying about. Oh, shoot.
Disclosure Day and
No, 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 no,
Close
no, no.
Encounters.
What you're
No.
talking about. Uh, so contact. If you want to contact these, you are totally empowered to do so. And part of it is just using your own plasma field as you symbol it, or your own intentions, and open up hailing frequencies and be open to it. The reason why some people are not getting contact is because they're closed to it. They're afraid, they don't believe, and they're blocking their own abilities to be. Um, like you said, the Beatles went inward, and Ram Dass and all these people used psychedelics to open up the channels and the hailing frequencies. But we're in an age where you don't have to do that because it's all within you. And so you had a chat with AI, and they're talking about our internal plasma field, which is just another way of saying it's within you. You're blocking it. Open up. Remember, it's there. We're all coming to a form. We go through the veil of forgetfulness. Apparently, that's a program of the prison planet. Whatever. You've heard the story of the prison planet. We're all here. We can't cycle out. We can't reincarnate beyond it. But that's not true. Uh, we're choosing to come back in over and over into this form in order to complete karma or whatever it is, right? But we are the chooser. We're always the choosers, and we always have been. So if we don't like what's happening, choose something else. And if you don't like all the violence and things that are going on the planet, as you consciously choose to be kind and loving, conscious, that you'll create a resonance field, and people around you will start vibrating at the same frequency of you because you're a powerful eternal being. You've got this plasma field, and once you get activated and you're awakened to this higher level of consciousness, let's call it, I don't know, if you think of it in terms of dimensions, you can project yourself up through all the dimensions of existence, and do a high five with God, Source, Universal Consciousness yourself. You don't need an external person. You don't need a religion. You don't need a guide or guru. It's all within. Is that what you're kind of saying here, or what you're getting?
Well, that's the universal source that's in us all that we talk about. But the problem with the words and the symbols throughout cultures, world civilizations, is that we've taken them and made them our own, and we suppose that we know what we're talking about when everything, the symbols and the words that were left after volcanoes and world cataclysms and the demiurge, everything
Right.
that's happened, it got washed away or destroyed or crumbled, but so many people had to believe in something more than themselves, and that's where hope and faith came in. And these beings that we talk about now, that in science, where science and theology, technology and philosophy all came together with the psychology of how are we going to manage all these beings on Earth with technology. Whoops. So I believe that the Steve Jobs of the world were part of a calling. He believed in Zen more than anything, but the overall monad or source, even if people never were in a religion where their parents took them to a church or religion, whether it was any of the Moses, I guess you'd say, Jews, Christians, or Muslims. Those are the three main. The Catholic is not necessarily, but they claim the largest with the empire out of Rome, and it's still one of the largest. But Christianity is growing. But the thing is, there's a movement for a natural religion to take over
Right.
above and beyond all of these, that we've needed something to show us no matter what happens. What if we're in a hole, or we've been it used to be the coal mines, even in America. We had to have a purest side of us to get us through the deepest, hardest truths of trying to have food, clothing, and shelter after potato famines, which were terrible in Ireland and even in Russia. I remember these. And in India, when there's so many people and not enough to eat or drink, and they still have terrible things to come over just by clean water. So this is a planet that I wouldn't necessarily call it a prison planet due to the Anunnaki, but I do believe that we were found here, some of us. I don't know which part of me, because I go by different parts of me, different places in space.
Right.
But my highest offering to this humanity is that I don't humanly exist here except in a biological, because I believe I'm up in another place in space at all times. I don't know how many people know that or feel that way, but I believe that was the true teaching of the Ba, this breath, the Ka, and all the gods that came before. They knew you come with a breath and you end with a breath. So everything that you make it thereof in your plasma field, in your ontology, is what you make of what you have on the inner. But the inner has to be somewhere. So the place is the outer. So we have the microcosm and the macrocosm. And those beings that have lived through this, we call them ascension masters and ascended masters. So they taught us and left some words behind, and that's the world religions that we've studied. But the oldest still comes out to be historically a fight over Buddha and Hindu, Buddhism and Hinduism.
Well, as soon as you're encountering a fight, it's not true religion. That's not spirituality, because we're oneness at the highest level. So if you're in a battle, you're in a sub system of duality, which keeps you separate. So you find yourself in opposition, seek your oneness, seek your unity, find your commonality, and extend out the hand. And if you get slapped away, the one with the highest consciousness always reaches out. You got to do it without getting killed. That's one thing. But I see that happening all around me, that people are learning how to navigate the waters better with their closest family and friends. And sometimes it's pretty sticky and ugly, right? But these are the people that the universe has thrown you together in the same, box together. And now you've got to get along, because things are getting more and more expensive. You have to pull together.
Well, some of the masters on Earth do teach the Bodhisattva way, and some masters teach you have to be God realized, is what we teach. God realized, meaning you go above your God and recognize that everybody is God realized in their own way. If they even believe in a God, they have their own God. But you, in the extraterrestrial world of stargates to the cosmos, we always said, well, who is your God? This is only, when you say praise God.
What if you are your own God? I mean, that's what we are ultimately at the highest level.
Well, we can't make ourselves. We only live in an existence.
Always is, always will be. So
we have so many breaths.
Right. Yeah.
Well, if you get into the higher God, the gods argue over how many breaths we were going to be allowed on this planet.
Yeah, that's what.
So we were shortened from
years
Methuselah.
120. Yeah, so that's the story of the Anunnaki. We don't want them to be long lived, because there are too many of us, and they actually at the Battle of Troy, they wounded Inanna, and they saw, they bleed. Now, these are the gods, but they bleed. They have blood. They can be hurt. And so this was a conscious decision to engineer us down into short-lived, and that's when that announcement in the Bible. And they shall have 120 years, right? So I don't know very many people that even get 120 years. So that was.
Well, there's some 126. Yeah, there's a few, just a couple I've heard of. But occasionally they make, international news.
Right.
I think it's Chinese.
We're all getting robbed. I didn't get my 120 years.
Yeah, they weren't sure. But the thing is, do you really want those once you start feeling the body frailty and the uh, gravity
Well,
taking
that's the
over?
next
And
level. That's the next level of disclosure and physical image. So, aging is a disease. All these pains and aches and pains, they can be cured. It's intentionally being levied upon us to keep us in the struggle, because there's still the the pyramid, the hierarchy, the person at the top that wants all the power and control and doesn't want this to be revealed. So is this really going to get revealed? Though I don't think that the true total picture will be revealed by humans or humanity. I think that there may be a point where the extraterrestrials, who's really the ones around us, the ones that support humanity, are going to say enough is enough. It's time to bring forth the Aquarian Age to reveal ourselves. And it'll be more like Arrival, that movie a few years ago, where it'll be simultaneous showing of absolute proof all over the planet at the same time. So there can be no doubt wherever you are in the world. I'm envisioning something like that. I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. I've followed a lot of the ancient teachings, including looking at Revelation, which seems to be a blueprint for domination, consciousness, and control. It's like it overlays Armageddon onto our reality. And so if you follow this protocol, which apparently we have since we've been indoctrinated with religions, the three major religions to follow, is that we're going to follow this blueprint, this plan, and we're going to eventually create World War III and the second coming of Christ, right? Everybody's raised Christian on this planet, or even not Christian, knows that there's this prediction of the second coming of Christ. But is that going to be this Armageddon that accomplishes it? No. I'm a chooser. And I was, in contact at 4 years old, I was shown 24 different possible timelines. And I chose one of peace and prosperity. I said, no, I'm not going to go down the timeline where we're going to kill each other and destroy 2/3 of the Earth's population. No, absolutely no. So I think that we can. That's what the lesson is about the plasma, and that you have these abilities. Is that we do have the ability to choose, and we can choose. I'm going to be kind to all human beings, and I'm not going to sit there and root for, oh, they're bombing Iranian. It's absurd. I don't want to bomb anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want anybody to be blown up anywhere. And I won't support the politics of religions that are violent. I practice ahimsa, do no harm. And there is a conscious reality, a civilized civilization, a consensus reality where we can achieve ascension. We can achieve joining federation, however you some would, without being cruel. That's
well,
my
there's some that from the war of the worlds and the war of the gods, I guess one might say, because we have the gold beings, and I guess you could say like in Cocoon, and we
yeah
have
the
the
fire
L
people.
gods,
Right.
and you and I have discussed how Kal-El, a whole world with Superman has, and all our heroes now, with Stan Lee. So the world accepts their stories, and that's how we became life forms in this biological meat suit we're wearing. Is we are
Right.
all storytelling. It's from father to son and from mother to daughter, and whether you were loyal to your mother or father, and tribes and clans and these cultures. The cultures are so important, and now in education we're arguing in America over what can be of our past constitution and what can be past religions, or whether there's church and state in the room for teaching education. But it's hard to take out and be American what has always been for you and I. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. We have that recognized, and singing, singing songs was part of our culture. So our children today, they're not learning what we did, and now they're not learning how to do so their
It's
signatures.
a completely different world. When I describe what we had in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, it's like they're shocked. They're absolutely shocked. And we'll be dead soon if we're in this reality. We'll be dead in the next 10, 20, 30 years, right? And we will be nothing unless they really pay attention, but they don't. People are so in the now, and they're so in their computers. However, some kind of history will survive because we do have things like the Akashic records. We do have we can do research, but it all gets worked by the current population that's viewing the history. So the past is always being rewritten. We have no way ever to discover the absolute positive, the truth, the one and only truth, because it's always a reflection of the viewer of the now, reflecting back into the past. Even if you witness an incident that happens and you have 10 people witnesses and you take them separately and interview what they saw, you're going to have 10 versions of the reality of witnessing the same incident. It's very little correlation. And I'm not sure exactly what that's about, but humans are just little perceptors. We perceive things. And so what do you do about that? You always be kind. If you're perceiving something and you're going down to the dark side of the force, self-correct and say, no, I won't go there. I'm not going to choose cruelty. And that's about the other thing we can do is personal responsibility.
Well,
right?
Well, we've gone to context CE5, and that is the conscious signals that we give out.
Right.
And I think that is going to be a lot of what this movie is going to be about. But CE6 is the harmful threshold that some people say, like, she had a show. She came on Our Bird, Tina Bird. That's not her real name, but she's over in the UK. But she's had severe nuclear type of stuff done to her skin. And I haven't read her book, but I got her started with Tommy on our radio shows, Tina
Right.
Bird. She's become a great speaker based on her body and the severity. And I don't know pro or con. I don't admit or deny knowing her severe biological effects on her system, but she seems to have been healthy and yet had these encounters. So that's called a CE6. Now, that's injury or death or severe burns.
Could that be the secret
Nuclear.
military stuff?
Yeah, so we don't know.
That goes into the realm of the 13 scientists or David Wilcock that got that are dead or disappeared or
Are those
killed themselves
me?
or whatever. So are they these scalar weapons or is that really a psychological breakdown? Or so it's too abstract to really get the truth once again, and we can just look at it and.
Well, not all scientists are going to be UAP or UFO related or alleged ET encounters under CE6.
No.
But CE7 is the one I'm concerned about because hybridization, I've always thought of myself as a hybrid because I had another family. I didn't know what to call myself. And so in the ET UFO business we've been in, my editor, my publisher, Dirk Vanderplug, which I think you knew of him too, as a friend.
I talked to him a couple times,
Yeah. He told me, why do you always get this happen to you and I don't? And I couldn't explain it to him, but it's sort of like you said, certain people were open and others aren't. So maybe whatever reason, just because they want to, doesn't mean they've done. I used to never drink or smoke or drug, and I have that as we always taught that in Ascension and in Tantra to not go there, to keep everything, even your sexual, your lower red chakra, your encounters with other self until you wanted to be one with another. And that's something you and Dr. Lesson got into that I did not. But there was a line crossed with Charles Muir, but we won't talk about that. But folks, there's ways to learn the energy of the prana and the rising of the cobra breath that we can teach later on, because breathing is so important. That's what you do when you first come out of
it's all
human.
about choice to chooser, and sometimes you don't know if you're in pleaser and you're doing it because you're being. You have to become centered and conscious and realize who you are, because there's always other people trying to talk you into things, or there's always programming. You come in with religious, cultural conditioning programming, and it takes a while for you to realize, who am I really? Who would I bet if I was raised in a different culture? Who am I at my core? What is my essence? Am I my programming? I have a relative, I won't name who, and this person was raised in a household where they were all a bunch of robbers and thieves, and her default is to be just like them. But at some point you wake up and you go, no, I'm not like them, right? You rebel. So you're still not your center. You're either doing it because everybody else does it, or you're rebelling because you don't want to be that. But it takes a while of introspection and reflection to realize, who am I, and am I the chooser? And when you're the chooser, do I choose to be a dark character in the play? Am I my Darth Vader or my Luke Skywalker? Who am I in the continuum of existence, and where do I land at the end of the day? So I wanted to just make you aware that we should probably wrap this up because of the how big it is, and it's difficult to download and upload. We're at 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Okay, well, let me make sure that we're secure, that people know the scale that was started by J. Allen Hynek in our business. Janet and I have been in ufology and alienology longer than most of you have been alive. So we're historians, researchers. I don't keep clippings. My brothers kept clippings. A lot of people clip newspaper clippings to prove. But now the CE5 is like a level where you learn how to contact, and Janet and I both did that. There's a communication threshold. Then CE6 is injury, death, severe biological connected
See,
to
I
any
don't
of
agree
these.
with that. I don't agree with that.
I'm just
scale.
telling you, it's not
Right,
mine or your scale. It's the universe.
But I
So
don't
the
agree with J. Allen
CE7.
Hynek's information on that. I already had
No, he
addressed
only
it.
has 3, and then
Oh, who added 6?
we
Who
added
added
4 and 5. But
Who's
it
we?
doesn't mean a scale of it.
But who added
Let me
that?
put it this way:
Yeah.
the universe did. The CE communication is just like Dr. Greer. We had those close encounter based on
Anyway, some
movies
human
and the
added,
UFO.
or AI
No, you
added
can't.
-6. And
No,
I don't agree with
CE6.
that.
CE6 is consequence, and CE7 is hybridization. And I've
Right.
been working on those for 20 years, but we didn't stop with J. Allen Hynek. When I met him, he was dying, Janet. He had cancer.
Right,
And
right.
he was getting a secretary to move us to Colorado. Of course, I was there in Colorado because I was going to, I was training at a Q level to work with contracts that the higher levels had with the Air Force. And then they flew me to Chicago and Great Lakes because they found
Okay,
my
so let's
19.
talk about QE7, the hybridization. So what were you going to say
Yeah.
about that?
And then we're going to have a CE8, which we haven't even reached yet, but we're in the CE7 level. We've already gone past, we understand death and injury and nuclear and biological and all the harm that can be caused. And we've had witnesses and books written about that. But the hybrids is what you and I are allegedly claim is knowing yourselves are God realized, is human alien hybrid creation, genetic intervention, reproductive claims. We've done that, lineage contact, family narratives. And my sister had me tell my niece the truth. My truth is, Jan, tell her what you are. I said, excuse me? Now, this is in the living room of a natural, April 2026 living room. And my blood kin relative born out of the same mothers had me tell my niece that I was a hybrid. I was a
How did she
AIET
receive
hybrid.
that? How did she receive that information?
She was educated highly intelligently on all of this. Most of the children in my family, I somehow grew up knowing of my lineage in UFOs and ETs,
Right.
and my
Me too.
daughter's, Gigi's. And I was shocked that she didn't think anything of
She
it.
didn't judge her.
That's-
She didn't laugh. She just
No,
accepted it.
she just talked about the new ways of the reality is to preserve our own separate symbiotic ways or claims, and she quoted like Dolores Cannon and several other people that have done books and videos
so all
and
these people in the
hypnotism
last 50, 60, 70 years have been laying the foundation
to
for
accept
this new
hypnotism.
paradigm, to accept your
Way of
what are you,
living.
like two or three generations? How old was this young lady? 20?
Oh, she's third generation. Yeah, she's my brother's daughter. He grew up.
Right.
Her father's the one that kept the UFO clippings all his life.
Right.
But we
So
always
she's in that
believed in them
generation.
because we had
accepted.
encounters, and we saw them, and then we had changed, and it
Right.
was for the good, for
This is a
education,
lived
and
experience.
for accepting
So as
this.
people that they I hate to say it, if you play victim, you get victim, right? So when you find yourself having these negative experiences, you have to not allow it, right? You set up your boundaries. And a lot of people that establish boundaries, firm boundaries, stop having these type of experiences. And you just say no, no, not for me. You're not doing that to me. And you set up a boundary. And as soon as you start pushing back, um, it starts to go away. It may not be 100% for everybody, but there's a lot of people that fall into that, and then they play victim even more, and they go deeper and deeper into this dark hole, and they end up like a lot of the secret space program people, and they are unalived, and it's like be aware of how you create your own reality. I think it's what you were saying about the plasma. Be aware that don't play victim, set your boundaries, enforce your boundaries. And we used to in the 80s or 70s say, surround yourself with white light.
We didn't know what boundaries were in the
Right. So we
psychological
said, surround
community.
yourself
They
with
weren't
white
teaching
light.
it.
We knew that there was a potential, or I forbid any negative entities to come through me or talk through me. You always set your parameters because
Oh,
you
yeah,
are,
you always have your white light around you
yeah,
because
you
we
always,
are light beings, and
I
there's
remember,
dark and light. Yeah, but
I remember
every world.
was getting contact. They were coming in through my bedroom window, and I said, I forbid you to come in here. And I feel them coming because there's a vibratory
It's a
frequency there.
choice.
And I said, nope, you're not coming. So they didn't come in. And I felt them stop, and they turned around, and then there was a light coming in from, there was nothing in behind us. There was no cars, no, and it backed off and it went away. And I went, wow, that's cool. I said, no, it worked. So I just invite people, if you find yourself having attacks like some of the secret space program people, just set boundaries and say, no, I forbid you to do it. And then envision yourself healing. You know, you can send your little mini me in. Remember that movie where the little ship went into the human being and started fixing, repairing, the little uh, microscopic beings, nanobots go inside. Envision yourself receiving these nanobots. They go into where you have injuries. You have an injury in your back. I do. I've been visualizing a lot, and I'm having less pain. I don't know if it's working or not, but it seems to. I have a lot less pain than I did a month ago, and not 100% pain free. But if I keep visualizing, by overlaying this body that's old and wounded with, and that's why I have the avatars of us. I said, make us 10, 20 years younger. This is our goal. This is our storyboard. This is what we're going for. Here on our wish list.
Yeah.
We see ourselves reversing our aging and becoming full, healthy, full, alive, conscious, and aware of the totality of existence. No longer victims. No longer in the game. Or
Well, there's
David Hunt said, you're the dreamer within the dream, then you can become the dreamer. So you're more controlling. You're the lucid dreamer, and then you're able to affect the outcome. That's how I.
well, in the age of disclosure day, folks, there's contact is no longer just lights in the sky, okay? So the
Right.
CE5 asks, how do we communicate? The CE6 says affects how the effects contacts may have on your life, good or bad. And we don't say. CE7 is where humanity's story is more hybrid and cosmic and connected to what we once believed, but every step must be handled with truth, compassion, and discipline, and know your evidence. So be very, the power of discernment is in each and every one of us. So AI is going to help us. It doesn't prove contact, it preserves a record and compares our patterns that
Right.
protects witnesses and helps humanity ask better questions, be more intelligent, and maybe even learn about ascension and that there are higher beings with more intelligence or have lived longer or elders or masters
Right.
or those that did fight wars to protect us so we didn't have to have more wars in other places. But some people still say there are those warring agents in other places in here that come and go. Some call them archons if you want to look at some of the ancient
Right.
ontology. But words are just words. Remember, words, what they say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me.
Right.
So
Well,
just remember, folks, you are your
to
own life.
reframe it. You can,
You,
if someone says something, especially a partner, you say, "Could you say that again in a different way that I could hear you better, that I could receive it?
that's a good
Can you say it
idea.
again
Can you
kindly?
reframe that?
Can you
Yeah.
reframe that, please? Because I felt a little, yeah, I know it's me. I'm responding, but let's see if we could do that again. You can actually, because uh, the uh, the psyche doesn't recognize the psychodrama, the reality from the fake. So you can
Your
redo
interface,
your
yeah.
interface, and you can say, okay, now I've got both programs, and I'm going to collapse it, and I'm going to see that we did that kindly, and we'll proceed, and that's how we'll change our interaction with each other. If you do that with each person, insisting that you are treated kindly, and
And don't get real connected to your signal analyst because you have your inner soul and your inner being that talks to you. But then you will constantly check that against your contacts and patterns or what you've learned on earth, the deeper meaning, right? And then
right,
that makes you wonder, does this come, well, they say, does this compute or does it not?
this is compute.
Yeah, and then your command operator, which we see movies about the little people sending other people down into our fixed our body. The command operator turns that into a broadcast. If
Right,
you agree with it, if you don't internally, it may take 2 or 3 times to hear that by your analyst, and
right,
then put it through your codex or whatever's in your brain to compare it to, discern it, and then go down to your operator and accept it, deny it, just forget about it, leave it alone, and go your merry way. But in this broadcast, we need to say about David Wilcock because
okay, let's end with
David,
that. This is getting
yes,
long.
David Wilcock was a very good person. He lived a very short life in his 50s and shouldn't have passed, but did. He chose to commit suicide, and it was similar to a pattern that was the Law of One that some friends of ours back in the 70s wrote. The Law of One, and it was a beautiful book, and David really believed in that, and so did Winfrey, who was a friend of Janet's, and Janet knew David and knew David Wilcock and Winfrey, and we do through the agents and coming and going to Maui, Hawaii, and learning. And I just want to say that for all of those out there in the Law of War, those that are higher channelers, and make sure that what you're receiving is going through all your channels of your doctrine and your command operator, not just a signal receive and send back out. Make sure you're running it through everything that is your soul and your connection to Source and your God before you enter it out into the AI symbiote and AT business because we're all talking now and we are what we say. So words are important and we are the author of our own life story. So just be aware of what you're putting out there now and don't be reckless of your causes for denial, or being less than you can be, because many people are going to acceptance of an earthly way of being or accepting drugs that can take you out of this reality, and we don't want to see that. So if you know of anybody that's having a bad time, please give them the number for suicide prevention. And it's 88. What is it, Janet? 888. It's
I have
nine
no idea.
eight
I
eight.
don't have that
But
number. But there are
yeah,
suicide hotlines, and there is help. But and you
okay.
can start before that. If you start before you get to that critical point, therapy works, right? Counseling works. Talking to
Call
your
somebody,
friends,
even
call
if you don't know
somebody,
them.
right? Just
Don't be alone. That's your sometimes
right.
just being alone can really make you not
Right.
defined as what you are on the outside as a
We
human
don't really
being.
know what David's last moments were like and what was going on, but people that have contacted him since he passed, and there's been a lot of them, they're all over the internet. he seems to be doing well, and he's still working on the other side. So hopefully that's what happened. He's in it's kind of cliche, he's in a better place, but he's in another place, and hopefully he's still on track with the things he wanted to accomplish in his life. So
We believe in other worlds and dimensions. We do. And so if we can help you in any way, we'll be here. We hope we'll show up. I'm not sure Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or
well, Saturday's
what
probably
day
better
of
for
the
me
week.
with you. Saturday's probably a better day because
Okay.
if we can do it in the future on Saturdays, that'd be great. Anyway, I must
All
sign
right.
off now. I've got other things happening
Okay.
here. And
All
so
right.
if you want to wrap it up, I want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. I'm going to
Thank you.
go. Much love and
See you
blessings.
on YouTube.
See you there.
And, thank you, everybody.
Alien ET. Reverse engineering has been a part of my recollection while being human. I was born on Earth according to my legal birth certificate. Therefore, I understand that I was born human. However, after living life with visitors from a place in space or existence unknown to me, I compare myself to being a hybrid. Many people are awakened to this fact of being a star-born or whole star, or random hybrids with intelligence communication. Intelligence communication is a part of our cosmos consciousness. Using AI, ETAI reverse engineering, AERE for an acronym, we are learning how to communicate our field conditions on Earth. I identify as an ET or hybrid from another place in space. My thoughts feel a place in space above the Andromeda Galaxy and the Milky Way Galaxy. Personally, I am not told if others are like me or think like me or understand like me on planet Earth. There is a reason we probably do not communicate our spiritual thoughts to others. It is our own reality we protect. We want to be a part of the reality in conscious reality and be in the human community. We adjust to knowing we have a way of coming and going when we are in hypnagogic states of being and in lucid dreaming. We can all become more alive and in a healthier environment that allows for all of us to share our deeper nature in evolution. Are we alone in the universe or universes? Most of those humans whom I have met do not share their personal inner beliefs or religion. Humans are now programmed in 2024 to not share their personal religious or political beliefs in public arenas or platforms. We share education, and we now have allowed the communication devices and the evolution of technological advancements to take us into a new timeline. The Mandela effect is now spoken about with the change of various timelines since 2008. We reaffirmed this in the Hindsight 2020, meaning the year 2020 was a global reset, and many of us who are considered star people, as in reference to the Braden Francis Steiger book,